in expressing our unhappiness and also talking openly of our resolve. After all, he's dealing with a, with a government in China which says we will uphold our sovereignty and territorial integrity at any cost. That's what the new leadership in China is all about.
You see, firstly, let me object to, your description of that, somebody is, apologizing for China. Now, you wouldn't like it if I say that, you take money from the CIA and conduct this kind of programs. It's very easy to call names, Mr. Goswami. Let's stop that. Stop it, it's unethical.
Mr. Badrakumar,
now, the point is, you have no right. You have no right to say that you are a nationalist and you are a patriot and I am a traitor. You have no right to say that.
Mr. Badrakumar,
and if I call you a petty American agent, how do you take it?
I will take it with as much amusement as you are saying it right now. My question,
yes, that's what I'm saying.
My question to you, sir, is your anger reserved? Is your anger reserved only at me? What about the Chinese? Why does your anger disappear when we ask you tough questions on the Chinese? And by the way, Mr. Badrakumar, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. That I have never called you an apologist. Maybe it is in your mind that somebody called you an apologist. I challenge you tonight to tell me who on the program called you an apologist. Who called you an apologist? Who called you an apologist? Who called you an apologist? Who called you an apologist?
I've taken a lot of your bullshitting.
Mr. Badrakumar,
full of bullshitting.
Mr. Badrakumar, 1 minute.
And if I know scuba diving, I say that tomorrow I'd like to be the commander of Admiral Goshko.
Calm down.
You laugh at me.
Calm down, Mr.
And the point is,
Mr.
Badrakumar,
first of all,
and
first of all, 1 second.
Words and say,
will you calm down?
Policy, this is what
will you calm down?
I came on your channel today precisely to tell you a few things straight on your face.
Well, Mr. Badrakumar, the problem is
colossal damage to the country's national interest.
Mr. Badrakumar,
you are, by conducting a theatre like this on primetime TV, you are actually doing a colossal damage to the country's interest.
Mr. Badrakumar,
you should back up and start an advertising agency.
Mr. Badrakumar, I want to just tell you one thing, and now I request you to please keep quiet and listen. You see, the problem with you, Mr. Badrakumar, is that you attempt to...
There is no problem with
listen,
me,
Mr. Badrakumar, there's a huge problem.
From anybody. And I am not pushing anything at this time.
Mr. Badrakumar, why are you then, if you are not an apologist, then why are you getting worked up when people are talking about apologists? If you are not an apologist, then why are you defending apologists? I put that question to Maruf Raza. Maruf wanted to come back to you. You are looking so badly on the defensive tonight, Mr. Badrakumar. Mr. Badrakumar, you are looking so terribly on the defensive. I request you, you are exposing yourself. You are on national television. Don't expose yourself further. Maruf Raza is responding to you. Maruf wants to respond to you. 1 minute, Mr. Badrakumar, please. Don't expose yourself, Mr. Badrakumar.
Mr. Badrakumar, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Badrakumar, sir, with full respects to your view, when the term apologist is used, if I could just give a little, elaboration on that, is when a particular point of view is against the national mood, which is the case now. There are more people who feel that we are not taking any action against the Chinese when we have the capacity to at least make some maneuvers on the ground to convey our assertion that this territory certainly doesn't belong to Chinese, as the respected Foreign Secretary has also brought out, that it's not now, but traditionally we have been very, very defensive when dealing with the Chinese. At our highest political level, statements are being made, whereas in the Chinese, the only spokesperson is coming out and addressing the issue. So the pointed issue... Sir,
1 minute, Mr. Badrakumar,
please let me complete, sir. Please let me complete. So, sir, so the point really of debate today is that are we doing enough? Or are we just letting it wait it pass so that the storm will blow over? Now, we have shown in the past we have the capacity. We are also aware of a Chinese tradition of nibbling away into territory. We are also aware that so many years of talks with the Chinese have not led to any further movement on the border. You have served with the Foreign Office. Would you now be able to educate us that there is an understanding in the Foreign Office that the area of Akshay Chin is a barter with the Chinese, when it comes to Chinese not disturbing the established Indian presence in Arunachal.
Yeah.
So we let sleeping dogs lie there, and Chinese have decided to encroach further. It is part of China's strategic plan to establish a greater presence there so that they dominate the Nubra Valley, they dominate the Shaksgam Valley. They are not happy with our military presence in Daulat Beg Oldi, the revival of old airfields, India really establishing a new core which the Chinese are seeing as offensive when they are doing air-land battle exercises in the Tibetan plateau. All that put together, are we still of the view that relations with China are honky-dory? Please answer these questions.
Well, the question here is this. I'd like to go back at this point to Kanwal Sibal. Mr. Kanwal Sibal, India and China, Mr. Kanwal Sibal.
Mr. Goswami to step aside, I can explain to you.
Mr. Bhadrakumar, I assure you, you've just said a lot. Allow others to come in. Let them also have their say. Can I let Mr. Kanwal Sibal have his say, or would you like to speak on his behalf as well? Mr. Kanwal Sibal, the question is this, that India and China have signed 4 agreements.
Some sensible questions, and I would like to explain.
Mr. Bhadrakumar, please cool down. Understand, you felt somebody called you an apologist. Unless you are an apologist, you don't need to defend all apologists. The question is this to Mr. Kanwal Sibal. India and China have signed 4 agreements in 1993, 1996, 2005 and 2012 to deal with the border dispute. The 2 countries, Mr. Sibal, have also in 2003 created a new institution of the special representative level dialogue to address the border issues. Question is this, Mr. Sibal, despite all this, why this level of aggression and intrusion that we are experiencing now? What is the strategy in this?
Well, first, I think what has happened in Ladakh is connected to what is happening in South China Sea and East China Sea. When countries like China, or for that matter, any country, when they look at their territorial disputes and their relations with neighbor, they don't have different policies towards one set of issues, another set of issues. If they are territorial, they have to have a consistent view. And you were right in earlier saying that the new Chinese leadership has very emphatically said that they will not give up China's territorial sovereignty at any cost. But I think the issue in this case is that a few facts are known. One, in the parliament, our government has said that the Chinese have intruded 19 kilometers inside what we consider is our line of actual control. They have, for the first time, as I understand from my conversations with people, actually put some fixtures there, settled down, put up tents. Earlier on they have been patrolling, but going back. We have been patrolling but going back. But the moment that they have set up tent, what they are conveying is that it is no longer a question of differing perceptions of line of control. They have asserted their control, and they are saying they are on their side of the line of control, which means there is no room left for negotiations. Now, therefore, I can't see how they are going to withdraw if they are saying that this is behind their line of actual control. And therefore, our appeals to them at the political level to withdraw will not be very effective unless at the same time we have some bargaining chip. And the obvious bargaining chip is that we go a few miles inside what we consider is the line of actual control, where we have patrolled, but we have not put up any fixture. Therefore, let us put up a fixture there behind the Chinese line. And then we have a bargaining chip, and then at the political level you can talk.
Mr. Raja.
Otherwise, we are looking as if we are pleading with them.
Yeah.
We are appealing to them. Please, for heaven's sake, get this out of the way. The foreign minister wants to visit. We want the Chinese prime minister to come here. This issue must be resolved. We are playing out. We are giving away all our diplomatic cards and giving the entire initiative to the Chinese to decide what they want to do, when they want to do. And if ultimately they do something, it will look as if they have done a great favor to India. They have shown great gesture of goodwill, etc., and cramping us further in anything that we may do in terms of protecting our border interests, because then we will look as if we are provoking them, whereas they have shown statesman-like sense of self-control and generosity and stuff like that.
It's a sensible point.
It's a kind of diplomacy which helps us, and therefore, if we do something on the ground, it does not mean we are blowing it out of proportion. We are simply defending our rights, we should do that.
It's a sensible position. I'd like to get Mr. D. Raja. What do you think about that?
Can I just...
1 second.
Just one quick point.
Yes, Maruf. Actually, I just want to get Mr. Raja and then I'll come back to you. Mr. Raja.
On one quick point.
Maruf, 1 minute, please. Let me just speak to Mr. Raja. I'll come back to you. Mr. Raja, a suggestion made by Kanwal Sibal here that you conduct diplomacy as equals. So if they have a slight edge in terms of a territorial incursion, he feels it is appropriate, valid for India at this point of time to also take a few liberties with the Chinese side, and then we can resolve the matter as equals. Not in an apologetic manner than some people are suggesting. Mr. Raja.
Arnab, at the outset I made it clear, no compromise on our territorial integrity. I hope the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Salman Khurshid, Defense Minister, Mr. A.K. Antony, are listening to you and to the views expressed by Mr. Sibal. And if that is such a serious situation, the government should have acted already. Why government is not acting? So there is something we should try to understand. Whipping up emotions and calling for some military confrontation, military war at this point of time, is it proper? Both countries are trying to sort out their border disputes. As you said, you yourself said the talks are at a higher level, and we wish the talks must end.
No, I don't think Mr. Sibal is pushing for a military option. I'd like him to clarify. I don't think he's saying aggressive diplomacy.
No.
He's saying aggressive and tactful diplomacy. One second, Mr. Sibal. Mr. Sibal, let Mr. Sibal respond to you.
India must improve its relations with our neighboring countries.
That the Chinese...
Already the Indo-Chinese relationship is improving, and nothing should be blown out of proportion.
No, Mr. Sibal wants to...
Which can
Mr. Sibal,
let me clarify.
Our two countries, which can create strains in our relationship. That is what I am trying to say.
Mr. Sibal.
Both countries cannot afford to go for a war. That's what I am saying. We should believe in...
No, nobody, I don't think, you see that nobody is looking at an extreme situation of war. One is talking of aggressive yet tactful diplomacy. I'd let Mr. Sibal respond for himself.
No, two things, Arnav. Why is it that we bear upon our burdens on our shoulders the entire burden of looking statesmanlike, wanting peace, wanting tranquility, etc., etc.? Why don't the Chinese side make some statements of this kind? We haven't heard the Chinese leaders say anything of the sort, but let's leave that aside. Now the Chinese have come in 19 kilometers, as we say, inside our territory and pitched their tents there. We don't have to confront them. We outflank them and go behind that and set up our tent and also supply them as in whatever we can. Now, we are not evicting the Chinese from their tents by force. Let's see if the Chinese take the step to evict our people who may be stationed a few kilometers behind them by force. Now, if they do that, then the Chinese will be taking the first step to resolve this issue contrary to the 1993 and 1996 agreements by force, where the protocols are that the patrols will not come face to face, they will not clash. Let the Chinese do that. By merely going behind the lines and setting up something in what we think is our territory is not provocation.
Maruf,
it's not blowing anything out of proportion.
I think that's
taking any military step in order to force the issue in terms of any shooting or any physical conflict.
I think that's a solid clarification. Maruf wanted to come in before I wrap this up. Maruf.
Yeah. No, quickly. One is that Mr. Raja referred to improved relations with China. Improved relations with China has only given it a two-third advantage in the Indian market by trading with benefit to China, not trade benefits to us. Secondly, we've had 15 rounds of border talks, and even all border maps are not being accepted by China. Only the middle sector is accepted. Third is military conflicts don't take place just out of the blue. There is maneuver, move, counter moves that take place. As Mr. Sibal is rightly pointing out, you can make a certain move in a couple of directions and then see how they respond. And remember, even in 1967 in Nathula, there was a full-fledged shootout between Indian troops and Chinese troops on that part of the border. It still didn't lead to a full-fledged Indo-China war like in 1962. But one battalion and later on under General Sagat Singh, the whole division hammered the hell out of the Chinese and they withdrew back from there. So the fact is, you can have a localized conflict. To think that even during Kargil, the world was saying that India, Pakistan are fighting and they're two nuclear neighbors and they'll go to a nuclear conflict. The advantage of being nuclear neighbors is that it gives you strategic space to fight short, sharp conflicts if your territorial integrity is threatened. And in this case, it is. So we should be prepared for a short skirmish.
Well, right now we are told
it's not going to be a war, but it'll teach the Chinese a lesson.
Well, right now, with all kinds of solutions, right now we are told there's another flag meeting that could be expected between China and India tomorrow. We follow that, and we still hope, even at this stage, that the Chinese will see sense and probably retreat. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on debate number 2 on the Newshour tonight.